Welcome to another episode of BS. Sorry about the last little clip I did. I had to address a couple of things because a lot happened on my channel. Threats happened. People did death threats on my channel, but to other people. I said, yeah, don't worry about that last video. I was just mainly telling everyone to chill out. So, uh, yeah, but I think everything's okay now. My channel looks like it's gone back to normal. I handled things with YouTube, and yeah. I'm no longer upset about it, and I'm just gonna let it blow over. Maybe I'll even delete that video. I'm not even sure. Um, nah, actually, I'll keep. I'm gonna keep the video because it's mainly telling everyone to chill out a little bit. So yeah, because I want to have a channel where everyone can speak their own mind. All right, let's get into the topics of the day. All right, first topic is Tyrod Taylor versus Justin Herbert. I've seen a lot of things everywhere about this. A lot of people aren't sure who should start next season. Is Justin Herbert even good? Will Tyrod Taylor be as good as he usually is, or will he get injured? Who really knows? But here's what I see. Right now, Justin Herbert is better than Tyrod Taylor. He is. But who should start? Tyrod Taylor. I believe with rookie quarterbacks, I always believe that they should sit out a year, no matter how great they are. Even if you drafted another Tom Brady, which the Patriots did, but we'll see if they play him. But I feel like they should always sit out in their first year. They've always been extremely successful when they do that. Prime example is Patrick Mahomes. He sat out a year, let Alex Smith start, Andy Reid. He let Alex Smith start, and he did great. He was incredible. So, I believe Tyrod Taylor should start next year. And he's a really good quality quarterback. I think he still has it. His speed is incredible. He's the second fastest quarterback in the NFL, right behind Lamar Jackson. Well, Lamar's this fast and Tyrod's this fast, but I mean, he still is the second fastest quarterback in the NFL. So, who should start next year? Tyrod Taylor. I don't even though Justin Herbert is better than Tyrod Taylor right now, because I feel like Justin Herbert is the second best quarterback out of the NFL draft. Even though he's the second best quarterback out of the NFL draft, in my personal opinion, and even though he's really good, I still think he should sit out a year, just in case. You never know. You want to build time. Right now, that team isn't ready to win a Super Bowl anytime soon, so there's no need to put him in his first year. I say just let him sit out a year. They need to fix that offensive line too. Tyrod Taylor's arm is still pretty good. It's decent. His speed is just incredible, and I think he will do great. I've been a Tyrod Taylor fan for a long time. I liked him as the backup for the Ravens. I liked him with the Bills as well. I feel like he played pretty well with the Bills. He led the Bills to the playoffs the first time. I think it was 20 years when they last made it to the playoffs. It's been such a long time. Tyrod Taylor led that team to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. I think it was mainly because of him and LaShawn McCoy in 2017 why they made it to the playoffs, and he was pretty good. I was impressed by him. He got benched for Nathan Peterman though, but that was the head coach's fault because who knows what he was thinking at the time. So, Chargers fans, I say, be excited for Tyrod Taylor. I know a lot of people aren't right now. I think he's a still good quality quarterback. I think he's one of the front runners for comeback player of the year. And yeah, I see Tyrod Taylor being the starter coming into next year in the 2020 season. I gotta say, who's better? Justin Herbert. Who should start? Tyrod Taylor, at least for 1 or 2 years, until Justin Herbert could be at an elite caliber level of playing. So, yep, that's who I believe should start next year. And yeah, and also if he doesn't start there, Tyrod Taylor should start for an NFL team. I think he still has a lot left in him. I just kind of feel bad for the guy because I feel like he did okay with the Browns, but it was the Browns, you know. I don't know. I think he should be playing for some team, a team. He should be a starter still because he's only like 31. He has like another, let's see, like 5 years left, and it's really surprising how long he's lasted in the NFL because mobile quarterbacks don't really last that long because age just it wears them out, you know. and I think an NFL team should pick him up. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. If he doesn't start with the Chargers, he should start with another team because he still has a lot of years left in him. And I would like to see him be a starter of an NFL team. But yeah, all in all, Justin Herbert's better. Tyrod should start going into next year. I think I've talked about the XFL a lot, and not a lot of people talk about the XFL. I think only Zach Schaumler I've seen talk about the XFL, who I think is the best sports podcaster out there. But I hope the XFL comes back. I know a lot of people don't talk about it. I don't know why a lot of people don't like it. I have a lot of friends who despise it for some reason. I mean, it's in a lot of ways it's better than the NFL, but you don't have that connection to those teams yet. And I was really hoping to get that connection with those teams. I had a little bit of a connection with the Houston Roughnecks. I liked PJ Walker. I liked what he was doing. I think if the XFL season never ended due to the coronavirus, if it never ended, I think PJ Walker would have won the XFL MVP. And I was kind of bummed when they got canceled because of the coronavirus. Man, I hope this thing ends. I know everyone feels the same, but the coronavirus thing ends soon. Cause I know everything's opening back up soon, but I mean, like, I hope we all go back to normal soon. Hope they eliminate this coronavirus as soon as possible. But anyway, that was my little rant about the coronavirus. But no, I mean, I hope it comes back soon. The XFL. I think they're getting bought by someone else. I think that's what I saw, and that would be great. I mean, I still personally would love to see the XFL. I would still watch their games. I would still watch the content, and hopefully it comes back soon because I'm really missing it right now. I'm like watching old NFL games back from like the early 2000s. Like I think the most recent game I just saw was the 2004 Super Bowl with the Eagles versus the Patriots. I mean, I've been watching the older games. It's been pretty interesting to say the least. But I'm like missing football right now. I'm missing watching sports in general. I think I think baseball is coming back soon. Me personally, I love going to baseball games, but watching on the TV it's kind of boring. I don't know if anyone feels how I feel about baseball, but I love going to the games, so I always have a good time. But actually watching it on the TV, watching it on TV, it's not the same for me. I don't know. I think maybe that's just me, but So I'm just missing sports right now in general. Like I understand that football wouldn't actually be on right now, but I was actually hoping to see the XFL, and I hope it comes back soon because they implemented a lot of things that the NFL should implement, like the way like the refs are, like they make sure the refs are very very disciplined. And make sure the refs know what they're doing. I like that we get to hear everything too. I liked how we get to hear the quarterback and the refs talk and like what they say, so you can see what goes on in an actual like I don't want to say a real football game, but professional football game, because the XFL is a little bit more professional than college football. You know what I mean? So it's like the XFL is like right in the middle between the NFL and the college football. Like that's where the level of XFL is. So I don't know. And also they had a lot of breakout players too, like PJ Walker, Cam Phillips, I believe his name was. I liked Jordan Tumamu. I liked him a little bit. I think he can be a solid backup quarterback in the NFL. There's just a lot of great players in the XFL, and I hope it comes back soon. Me personally, I didn't watch the AAF. I didn't find that interesting because I feel like they didn't bring anything new to that game. I don't think it really separated itself from the NFL enough, and it was on. I believe it was on during the NFL season. I think the only thing interesting about the AAF was Johnny Manziel, and even then it was kind of meh. I mean, I think everyone was just waiting for the XFL, and I think it was a good decision. I think if the coronavirus never happened, then we would still be watching the XFL, or maybe it would still be on. I don't know, but I think we would still be watching the XFL. We would be enjoying the games. I don't think it would have ever gotten canceled or bankrupt or whatever the hell happened to them. But I really miss the XFL. I hope it comes back soon because that was a personal favorite of mine. They did a lot of things right, and I think some things the NFL should do to what the XFL did. Yeah, I mean, all in all, I hope it comes back soon. Uh, Maybe it will, because I heard it might be bought out by another company or something like that. Maybe they'll still do games and stuff, but yeah, hope it comes back soon. So yeah, moving on to the third topic and our last topic of the day, we're gonna talk about Tua. Every year, there's typically a quarterback bust. I'm not saying it's gonna be Tua, but I don't know. Tua coming out of college, he was a systematic quarterback. I didn't think he made enough quarterback throws. He had really good receivers all the time. Threw into wide open space. I mean, like when the receivers were wide open most of the time, which is good. I just feel like Tua should sit out a year. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick should start the whole year no matter what, for two reasons. First reason, Tua has an injury problem. I feel like if they start him right away, he's going to have an injury problem for the rest of his career. I think he should sit out a year, take a breather, learn the system, and come back next year stronger than ever. I think he's also a good leader too. So I mean, I don't hate Tua, but there's things that need to happen for him to have a successful NFL career. And the first thing is him sitting out a year, right behind Ryan Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen, whoever they decide to start that year. Hopefully it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, but it seems like Ryan Fitzpatrick always has a funk in the beginning of the season and then always kicks into gear later on in the back half of the season. But who knows? Maybe it's Josh Rosen or Ryan Fitzpatrick. But one of those two guys should start going into next year, and he should sit out the year. Because if he starts, I feel like his head's gonna go everywhere. I feel like the pressure's gonna go into his head. I just don't think Tua is the best quarterback coming out of the NFL draft, but he has a lot of potential. He has a good arm. I think he's a good leader, really respectful, and I think he's a good guy. And I would hate to see him be a bust, but I have a feeling he might be a bust because I don't think he's NFL ready right now. Not at this minute. Maybe next year. But right now, I don't think he's NFL ready. I don't think he's ready to start in the NFL. Let him sit out the year. Let him take a break. Then have him come in. Because if he starts this year, he's going to be a bust. I think he might be a bust if he starts this year. So hopefully, no matter how bad Ryan Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen is, no matter how bad they are, do not start Tua. Because if you start him, he's going to be a bust. Because right now, I mean, I think Tua is the fourth. Yeah, I would say the fourth best quarterback right now in the NFL. Coming out of the NFL draft. No, maybe even the fifth. Yeah. I would say even the fifth best quarterback right now coming out of the NFL draft. And I know a lot of people have him higher than Joe Burrow even. I know a lot of people have him higher than Joe Burrow. But Tua needs to sit out a year for him to have a good, successful career. Because he has injury problems. And he looked a little weird in the pocket last year. I don't know. But he's going to a less talented team than he had in college. So I don't know how well he's going to be with that team. But I looked at his film. I didn't actually look at his film before I assessed him as calling him a bust. Because I was calling him a bust before. Because I watched a couple of his games. I wasn't impressed. So I watched like a lot more of his games. And I really dug deep into his film. And what I saw was potential. But I did see a systematic quarterback. And I think he should learn the system that Miami is going to have in place there before he starts. So I think he should wait a year and have him start either next year or the year after that even. Because he needs at least 2 years. And I had the same feeling about Dwayne Haskins. I felt like Dwayne Haskins was going to be a bust. I was really not impressed with him. The only thing I was impressed with was his arm. But everything else I wasn't impressed with at all. So Dwayne Haskins, I don't see him having a good career at all. And I had the same feeling about Josh Allen too. But Josh Allen actually impressed me in his second year. So maybe I'm wrong about Dwayne Haskins as well. And maybe I'm wrong about Tua. But I have this gut feeling about Tua that it's not a good gut feeling. And I have a feeling that he might start next year and he's going to end up being a bust. kind of like Dwayne Haskins, because I kind of see Dwayne Haskins end up being like a bust. You know what I mean? So that's all I gotta say is he might be a bust from the 2020 NFL draft. Hopefully he ends up not being a bust, but there is a potential possibility that he could be a bust, which is a shame because hopefully he doesn't start. Hopefully he doesn't start. All right. Oh boy. Moving on to the news. I think we all know what I'm going to talk about right now. I've been talking about him for a while. Talking about this man gets me death threats, but I'm going to talk about it. Now, what I'm going to say about Cam Newton. Listen, in the comments below, express your opinion respectfully. I don't want you to do any more death threats. I'm not handling that. I'm going to be deleting your comment and I will be reporting you. So no more death threats. I don't care if you disagree with me at all. Discuss with me in the comments. Don't be saying any death threats, all right? Because what I'm going to say about Cam Newton is probably going to piss a lot of people off, and that's fine. You can be pissed, but you cannot threaten to kill anyone. All right, that was ridiculous. I don't want to see that in the comment section. All right, so news number 1. Cam Newton has been signed to the New England Patriots. And you know how I feel about Cam Newton if you've seen my past videos. And obviously, this is a mistake. It's a mistake. Now, 3 reasons. 1, his attitude. 2, he gets injured all the time. And 3, he can't make those throws, those easy throws like Tom Brady did. This is why I like Jarrett Stidham. And I don't know, maybe, I'm not saying I don't want to jinx Cam Newton getting injured, but I feel like going into next year, he's going to get injured 2nd or 3rd week, and Jarrett Stidham's going to come in and ball out. He's going to be great. I think it's like a Baker Mayfield situation, if you remember, when the Browns, I know Jarrett Stidham didn't just get drafted. He got drafted last year, but I'm saying it's going to be a situation like that. If you remember, Tyrod Taylor was hyped up to be the quarterback in that year. Tyrod Taylor, when he was first year with the Browns in 2018. He was hyped up to be that quarterback for that year. And he was hyped up. He was extremely, everyone was excited. And he ends up getting injured in the 3rd week. Baker Mayfield comes in, and he ends up being great. You can even say it's like the Jaguars situation, too, where Nick Foles comes in. Everyone was excited about him being the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He came in. Everyone thought it was great, and he ends up getting injured, and Gardner Minshew ends up being now he's the future starting quarterback of that franchise. And I think this is a similar situation here. I think I'm not jinxing him. I hope I'm not jinxing him. I'm saying maybe like 2nd or 3rd week he might get injured, and then Jarrett Stidham's going to come in and he's going to be great. It might be a situation similar to that because it always happens to injury-prone quarterbacks. So, I mean, I could possibly see that happening going into next year. And because Jarrett Stidham is better than Cam Newton. And I'm probably getting a lot of hate right now just by saying that, but he is better. First off, Cam Newton has to recover from a shoulder and foot injury. Because he's getting injured every single time. He's getting injured. I know people are saying he makes plays. Oh my gosh. He makes plays with his legs, and he's not as fast as he used to be, first off. Second off, his arm strength has deteriorated like every year, and his attitude problem. How does someone think his attitude problem is gonna fly with Bill Belichick? Like, Bill Belichick has a no ego mentality in his locker room, and maybe Cam Newton will come back strong. I know he's saying he's hungry, he's ready to win games, he's ready to make it to a Super Bowl. Here's 2 scenarios that might happen with Cam Newton. 1, he's going to come into New England. He's going to start week 1, and he's going to be extremely great somehow, going to throw extremely accurate passes and not get injured at all. That's one scenario. Second scenario is he's probably going to get injured 2nd or 3rd week, or maybe even benched, and be replaced by Jarrett Stidham. Which one do I think personally might happen? The second scenario. Look, I'm going to be honest here. I've not been a fan of Cam Newton. I haven't. I hear the excuses. They're excuses. I've seen players that have been more injured than Cam Newton and played great. He's not a thrower. He's not that great of a thrower. He's not a Michael Vick or Tyrod Taylor. Even Tyrod Taylor, I would say, is a better thrower than Cam Newton at this moment. He just is. Cam Newton always struggles when the pocket comes in, like, clutters him. And also, like, Cam Newton's always had an okay receiving core that fits with Cam Newton, but this receiving core fits to a guy more of like Tom Brady. Cam Newton can't do what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady always threw the easy easy checkdowns. He threw to his running back, threw to whenever a guy was wide open. Cam Newton can't do that. Jarrett Stidham, I believe, can. That's why they drafted Jarrett Stidham. Now, what I think is, I think Robert Kraft said, "Yo, you're being way too risky here. We need to get a better quarterback than Jarrett Stidham." Because I feel like personally, it's another Jimmy Garoppolo situation again. If you remember back in 2017, I believe it was 2017 where Jimmy Garoppolo got traded to the 49ers, and originally it was supposed to be Tom Brady getting traded to the 49ers, but Robert Kraft put his foot down and was like, "Listen, Bill, you can't do this. You can't have Jimmy Garoppolo." He didn't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo like Bill Belichick did. Like 3 years later, Jimmy Garoppolo made it to the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo is an elite quarterback. They could have had an elite quarterback, but instead they stuck with Tom Brady for, 4 years? I know he won the Super Bowl, but Jimmy Garoppolo would have won multiple Super Bowls. You know, maybe they would have even made it to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo if he was the quarterback last year instead of Tom Brady. I think maybe they could have went 14-2. Never know. But I feel like it's the same situation. Robert Kraft intervened and was like, "Hey, we can't have Jarrett Stidham as our starting quarterback because he's just too risky." Because the Patriots drafted basically another Tom Brady that's a little bit more mobile and who has a stronger arm. Because Jarrett Stidham has a pretty good arm. He does. And he sat out last year. He was behind Tom Brady. It's perfect. It's a perfect situation. You were sat behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Learned the system, and now he's ready to start. He showed a lot of potential in the preseason last year. I want to say he's amazing at reading defenses. His process of reading defenses was a little slow last year in the preseason. But if he took that time to develop him from last year to this year, I think he's going to take that big step forward. I mean, the whole offense is still Tom Brady. It has like a Tom Brady-esque to the offense. Just place Jarrett Stidham in there, and you guys will be great. I based my predictions on Jarrett Stidham being the quarterback. And now that Cam Newton's the quarterback, I think they're going to go 9-7 now. Because you don't want Cam Newton in your locker room. Who knows how he's going to be in their locker room? You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll have comeback player of the year. Maybe he really is hungry to win. But he said that every time he's gotten injured, and he ends up getting injured again. So I know Bill Belichick has a way of getting players to cooperate in his locker room. He did it with Randy Moss. He did it with Antonio Brown even. But sometimes it doesn't work out. Most recent example is Michael Bennett. The Patriots ended up having to trade Michael Bennett because Bill Belichick didn't want to. He was fed up with him. He was fed up with his BS. No pun intended. But what's the scenario? What's going to happen with Cam Newton? Best case scenario, he might win comeback player of the year, and he might do okay. Might be okay. Who really knows? Maybe he really is hungry. Maybe he really wants to put in that work to be a better pocket passer, to be better with throwing the ball in the pocket. Maybe he will be. But what I see happening is him getting injured the second or third week, and Jarrett Stidham replacing him as the starting quarterback, and Jarrett Stidham ends up being the starting quarterback of the future for the Patriots. Honestly, that's what I see happening. Because Cam Newton has has trouble recovering from injuries because he injured his shoulder and his foot. So all in all, Cam Newton going to the Patriots, I think it's personally I think it's a mistake. I don't think it was Bill Belichick's decision. I think it was Robert Kraft's decision because he didn't believe in Jarrett Stidham, and maybe it will be good for them, but I don't see it. I see it being a bad move by the Patriots. Moving on to our next set of news, Deebo Samuel ended up breaking his foot, and I believe he's presumed to be out for at least 8 weeks going into next season. So I think he might be put on the PUP list. And I believe I think he'll come back. Maybe he'll come back stronger than ever, but the 49ers still need another receiver. Now, who will be the number one going into next year? Because they don't have Emmanuel Sanders anymore. Deebo Samuel was supposed to be the number one, but going into next year, besides Deebo Samuel himself, they got Trent Taylor, Travis Benjamin, Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Hurd, Richie James Jr., Brandon Ukie, or Brandon I forget, but he's the new rookie receiver. Dante Pettis, Juan Jennings, Chris Fink, and Sean Poindexter. All right. Now, looking at the receiving core, honestly, it's okay, but they need a number one guy. Kendrick Bourne is not a number one receiver. He's not. He's a solid slot receiver or a number two receiver. He's a good red zone threat. Jimmy Garoppolo always trusted him. He had a connection with them, you know. Jalen Hurd, I've never been a big fan of him coming out of his college year, but he got injured last season. He was out the whole year. And will he be a good receiver? Because the 49ers believed in him like they believed in Deebo Samuel. And Deebo Samuel ended up being really well, doing really good. He ended up being, I think he could be a really solid number one receiver for Jimmy Garoppolo. But unfortunately, he broke his foot. So who knows what's going to happen. But they still have Dante Pettis, who I believe he is a number one receiver, but I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo and him had a great connection. Because Dante Pettis had a great connection with Nick Mullins, who's the backup quarterback. But can Jimmy Garoppolo and Dante Pettis have a great connection? Because there are no OTAs. There really aren't that many offseason opportunities to build up that connection with your receivers. It's going to be pretty tough for Jimmy Garoppolo and Dante Pettis to be on the right foot. So, I don't know. We'll see how that ends up going. But don't expect anything great with their connection. Even though Dante Pettis is a number one receiver, I don't think they have a great connection together. And that's why there was trade rumors. But you never know. Maybe they can get things going. Because Dante Pettis is a good deep threat. So, and then there's Richie James Jr., who he was okay last year. Maybe he can take another step forward going into next year. He wasn't the best, but now. And then there's Trent Taylor, who's always been pretty good. He's a fan favorite for the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan seems to really like him. So we could see Trent Taylor possibly being the number one receiver. I think he's one candidate. And another candidate is Travis Benjamin. Now, personally, I like Travis Benjamin. I think he was okay. He had a little bit of a drop problem last season with the Chargers, but you never know. Maybe Travis Benjamin could be like a good player for the 49ers. Maybe he just needed a change of scenery, and maybe he'll step into the number one role now that Deebo Samuel is on. Now Deebo Samuel broke his foot, so we could see him. But personally, maybe I kind of see Brandon Ayuk, the new receiver that they drafted. Brandon, I can't say his last name. I saw some of his film. I think it was all right. I saw more of his highlights. He seems like he's pretty good. 49ers seem like they believe in him a lot. Maybe he could be another Deebo Samuel and step into that number one role. So, and then there's the other guys that they drafted, Chris Fink and Chris Thompson, Sean Sean Poindexter. So yeah, I mean, maybe those guys can be possible sleepers. Maybe they'll like come out, maybe do good. Who knows? But honestly, I think it could be either Trent Taylor, Brandon Uyuk, or Dante Pettis, or Travis Benjamin. And I really see Trent Taylor being the guy to step up into that number one role. Because I think Kendrick Bourne is a solid number two, and I think he should stay into that red zone threat receiver as he is now. So yeah, honestly, I think Trent Taylor could be pretty good. I think he could be a solid number one for Jimmy Garoppolo. So honestly, that's why I see being the replacement for Deebo Samuel. Man, we're flying by these. All right, moving on to news number 3. Jadeveon Clowney. Man, haven't heard his name in a while. He's been stuck in free agency, which is weird because he's one of the better defensive ends in free agency still. He's thinking about either going to the Cowboys, going to the Saints, or to the Cowboys. One of his two teams he's thinking about going to. Which one do I see him going to? Probably the Saints, because the Cowboys are a mess right now. They really are. They got Zeke issues going on. There's controversy with Zeke, with him possibly not. He has coronavirus. Who knows how that's going to affect him? I don't think they should leak that news out. That's personal information. I can see why Zeke wants to sue. I think he wants to sue ESPN for leaking that information. I forgot who leaked it, but Zeke wants to sue them. But Dak Prescott issues. Dak Prescott wants to be paid Patrick Mahomes money, and I don't know what he's thinking by saying that. Because no one should be paid even close to Patrick Mahomes money. Because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, even though he might not be the best quarterback, even though he might not win MVP next year, he's still the best quarterback, most talented. He's probably going to be the number one quarterback for a long, long time, and no one should be paid even close to Patrick Mahomes money, because Patrick Mahomes is going to be paid like $50 million, or probably even 45. Dak wants to be paid $40 million. You don't want to go into that mess right now. The Cowboys cap is, they barely got any money left. They're a mess right now. There's a bunch of controversy. Who will start next year? Is Andy Dalton or Dak Prescott? Possibly even Cooper Rush. Who knows? But I doubt Cooper Rush. But I mean, they're just a mess right now. So I see him going to the Saints, because we can always build up that defense. Defensive line, build more depth into that, and I think it could be great. I think Jadeveon Clowney going to the Saints is a better option than the Cowboys. So I think I don't even know why he wants to go to the Cowboys. Like, they're just a mess right now. Mike McCarthy, who knows how great he's going to be. Saints is the safer option. Sorry, Cowboys fans, but they're just the safer option. Sean Payton looks like he's ready to win another Super Bowl. Who knows how great Drew Brees will be, but I mean, they got a solid defense and they got a solid offense. It's just who knows how great Drew Brees is going to be. And that's the only problem with the Saints, is Drew Brees. How good is he going to be? How is his arm going to deteriorate midway through the season like it has in the past? Like, is it going to be worn out by the end of the season? Is he going to be good in the playoffs? Who really knows? But I mean, right now I say the safer option is the Saints. But personally, I say Seahawks. I say Jadeveon Clowney should go back to the Seahawks. I mean, he played pretty good there. They're building something great. They got a solid team all around. So, I mean, I don't know why that's not even an option for him. I don't know why he doesn't want to go to the Seahawks. Or I think the Dolphins might be a good option for him to go to too. But he does have an injury problem. So I don't know if those teams even want him specifically. Maybe the Cowboys, but he has an injury problem, and he's never had a double sack season. So you could probably get him on a cheaper deal now, because time has passed. You can get him on a cheaper deal to get Jadeveon Clowney. And so, yeah, I mean, he's been injured a lot, but he hasn't been injured for like the whole entire season. He's just been injured for like a couple of weeks. He's never had a double sack season, but he's still a solid defensive end. He can really get into the quarterback's face, make him throw the ball away quickly. And he's a real disruptor for the quarterback. He also can play linebacker too, so you can use him in the linebacker role. And yeah, so I mean, maybe the Saints, I think I see him going to, but personally, I think he should go back to the Seahawks because he played pretty good there. He did. So all in all, that's all I gotta say about Jadeveon Clowney going to the Saints or Cowboys. I think he should go to the Saints, but personally, I think he should be thinking about going back to the Seahawks. All right. I think that was our final news topic of the day. Man, we blew through this episode quickly. We're already on the main event. I haven't done this segment in a while because I haven't really been posting or making videos on Mondays. All right. We're going to be talking about on Mondays, or if this comes out on Tuesdays, on Mondays, we would have a segment called Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame. Today we're going to discuss a couple players. Barry Sanders, does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? We're also going to be discussing Chris Carter. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Then we always have the players that are not in the Hall of Fame yet. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? Like we have Calvin Johnson, and then we also have Darren Sproles. So yeah, we're going to get into that segment now. Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame? Our first guy that we're going to be talking about today played for the Detroit Lions for his whole career, has made it to the Pro Bowl every single year that he's been in the NFL, and he's made it to 6 All-Pros. He's won All-Pro 6 times. He's one of the best running backs of the Detroit Lions. Even you could consider him to be the best running back they ever had. You all know him, Barry Sanders. Give this man a round of applause. All right. What do I have to say? I mean, he ran for 2,000 yards back in 1997. Ran for 2,000 yards. Ran for 11 touchdowns. He's been in the NFL for what? He's been in the NFL for like 9 years. Only like 9 to 10 years. And he's made it to a Pro Bowl every single year. Unfortunately, the Lions has wasted his talents because he was on a bad team, or you could even say mediocre team, every single year that he's been in the NFL. He could probably even have better stats right now. He retired at 30 years old. I mean, he had like another 5 years left in him, but unfortunately, the Lions, the Lions took away his love for football. He really did. He wanted to win. The Lions took that away from him. I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, being on the Lions for that long, never like winning the Super Bowl. He deserves so many Super Bowls right now. He's one of the fastest running backs of all time. One of the best running backs for the Lions. One of the best running backs of all time. Obviously, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be right where he is. Moving on to the next guy. All right, you all know him. He started out with the Eagles for his first 3 years of his NFL career. One of the best. Then he moved to the Vikings and became one of the best Vikings receivers of all time. You all know him, Chris Carter. Give this man a round of applause. All right, Chris Carter. He's made it to multiple Pro Bowls, mainly in the 90s. He's played in the NFL. He started when he was 22, ended his NFL career at 37. His last team was the Miami Dolphins, but he's most popular for being with the Vikings. He was with the Vikings for about, I believe, he was with the Vikings for 11 years. He was a really productive receiver for them for the 11 years he was on the Vikings. And yeah, I mean, he's been pretty solid. He has 1,000-yard seasons, multiple touchdowns. He was a good red zone threat. And he was also paired up with Randy Moss too. I mean, they were a great wide receiver duo. They really were. I honestly, I want to say he was one of the biggest one of the best receivers in the 90s. He was always productive. He was always really, really good. He always caught the ball, never really dropped it. Didn't have that many drops. He was always a productive receiver. He was always solid. He was really, really good in clutch situations, and that's why I believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, his clutchness was extremely, extremely well. Never dropped the ball. Was always productive. Every year he's been in the NFL. Even when he was with the Eagles, he was still really, really good. It's a shame he couldn't be with the Eagles. It's a shame he couldn't be with the Eagles any longer than he did. Because it's a shame he couldn't be with the Eagles as long as he should have been. I think he would have been a great Eagles player if he stayed with the Eagles. But I mean, he ended up with the Vikings, and all in all, he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. His clutchness was always superb, always really, really good. I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, he's always been really good. He's always had a good catch radius. He's always been able to catch the ball in critical situations, and yeah, he's always had a good catch percentage as well. So yeah, all in all, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. All right, now players that haven't been in the Hall of Fame. These are players that are currently not in the Hall of Fame. Their careers are over though, but sometimes we get players that their careers are still going. So, but these two players are currently not in. They're currently not in the NFL. They have retired. So, our first player that we're going to talk about that is currently not in the Hall of Fame. He was on the Detroit Lions for his whole career. Same thing with Barry Sanders. He played for the same amount of years as Barry Sanders did. He played with the Detroit Lions for 8 years. He made it to 6 Pro Bowls. You all know him. One of the best wide receivers of all time, Calvin Johnson. This man was always productive, always on a mediocre team, always was clutch, high motor, always pulled up multiple touchdowns, a ton of yards. One year he caught for 1,964 yards. That's insane. It's a shame that he couldn't be in the NFL even longer. He was, same thing with Barry Sanders, ended his career at age 30. Was only been in the NFL for 9 years, whatever way you want to look at it. It's a shame that the Detroit Lions didn't take care of him enough. He got a concussion, too many concussions, meaning he had to force himself into retirement. It's a shame that he was on a mediocre team for as long as he was. He deserved to win a Super Bowl. Calvin Johnson has repeatedly stated that the Detroit Lions didn't really take care of him when he had a concussion. It's a shame. He deserved to have a long career, but unfortunately his concussion forced him into retirement. And yeah, I mean, obviously he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He changed the way that you look at the receiver. He was a great ball. He was great. He was a great jump baller. He was great at catching the ball in the air. He was just great. You know, he had great yards. He had multiple touchdowns, and he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Especially he had Matthew Stafford too, and I don't want to say Matthew Stafford is a bad quarterback or anything, but he's no Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. If he had a quarterback like that, he would probably call for 2,000 yards or even more. So you know what I mean? So all in all, I would say that Calvin Johnson does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to go to the Hall of Fame. All right, moving on to our last guy we're number 43 for his whole career. He's 5'6", one of the smallest running backs of all time. He's 5'6". He was great at catching the ball. He was a great receiving back. He played for the Chargers and the Saints and the Eagles, and his career with the Eagles. Retired this past year. You all know him, Darren Sproles. Give this man a round of applause. All right, Darren Sproles. He played for 14 years. Played up till he was 36. He's been in the NFL for such a long time. He was one of the greatest kick returners of all time. Darren Sproles has a couple of records. He has multiple touchdowns receiving and rushing. He's 5th in all-purpose yards of all time. He's 5th. He has a total of 19,696 all-purpose yards. He's right behind Emmitt Smith. And all these guys have a ton of records. All 4 of these guys that I've mentioned, they have a ton of records. but Darren Sproles has the least amount of records. He he didn't revolutionize the running back position. He wasn't really good receiving back. This one's really tough for me. He's really good. He was a great kick returner. He was great at catching the ball. He didn't rush for that many yards though. I think he was personally a better receiver than he was a running back. So I want to put him in the Hall of Fame so bad because I love Darren Sproles so much. I really do. I love how he runs with his height. He was really small, really fast. He was a great kick returner, punt returner, but I don't see him going to the Hall of Fame. It's just he doesn't have better rushing yards. If he had like 1,000 rushing yards, if he did what Christian McCaffrey did, if he ran for 1,000 yards and caught for 1,000 yards, maybe I would say you go into the Hall of Fame. He did win a Super Bowl though. Out of all these guys, he did win the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2017. Unfortunately, he didn't get to play in the Super Bowl due to him being injured. But he's been a great player. It's just he's not a Hall of Fame player. He's not elite. I'm sorry to say that he does not deserve to go into the Hall of Fame. He does not deserve to go into the Hall of Fame. Maybe into the Eagles Hall of Fame because he did retire with the Eagles. It's crazy. He played with the Eagles for 6 years, and all 6 of his years, he played in his 30s. That's insane. That's crazy. But all in all, I don't see him going to the Hall of Fame, and he's not in my Hall of Fame. So, all right, that's all we have for today. This was an interesting episode. Let me know what you think of the background. It might be just for this episode, or maybe this might be the permanent background. I don't know yet. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Let me know down in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed it. All right, I'm gonna end it here. All right, I'll see you on the next one.